Your vision sets a tone for everything in your life. It's really the foundation for the choices that you make, the habits that you build, the goals that you strive toward. Now, there's some other components in there, but without vision, it's like driving a car with no destination. Now, I know that can sound entertaining at times, but the beauty of really creating a bold vision is that it pushes you to think beyond your limits. I know we like to stay in our little comfort zone from time to time, don't we? But, it really helps you push beyond those limits to align with your life and what matters most, right? So let's be honest. When was the last time that you visited your vision? I mean, I embrace it now. I didn't always, but as we've learned, as you've probably experienced, life moves fast, and what we value can change over time. So today we're going to dive into why your vision's important, how to clarify it, and how to keep it relevant as you grow. Because I think a lot of times we get to a certain point and then we're like, okay, I'm there. And are we asking the question, what's next? We're going to talk about that. But I do want to say thank you so much for being a part of this podcast episode, whether you're catching it on YouTube in the visual version, the video version, or on one of your podcast app. I really, really appreciate you tuning in. And hey, when you're ready, head over to talktoperry.com. It's just like it's spelled out, TalkToperry.com. That's where my calendar's at. It's wide open because I'd love to hear from you about how we can sharpen your focus and really bring energy to your goals. So many of us, we go about our lives like we are a 6-year-old smartphone with 2% battery life and no charger in sight. Am I right? Okay. Head over to talktoperry.com. We'll figure it out in just 15 minutes. talktoperry.com. I'll pop that in the lower third if you're watching the video there. So let's start with clarity. A vision isn't just a list of goals. I think a lot of us, we think of that, it's like, what's your vision? What do you want to do? And we'll list goals out. But a bigger picture is where you see yourself. And a lot of times, I know for me, when I first started doing kind of an exercise, somebody was talking about vision, where you see yourself 5 years, 10 years down the road. It was rather foggy. It was like, well, I could see myself this way, but I could also see this, but I could also see this. And, and none of them would seem to merge or blend together. But to clarify your vision, ask yourself a meaningful question like what impact do I want to make in the world? Okay. And really be aware of how that feels. If it ends up being like, well, I don't know, and we get into kind of a resistant mode there, or just kind of a knee-jerk reaction on that. But just take a time. Let that just kind of settle a little bit and just like, what impact do I want to make in the world? Because there's probably a time when you wanted to, and maybe life has gone a different direction than you thought it would, but doesn't mean that you can't shift. And another one, I love this. This is a great exercise that was given to me, probably about 20 years ago. What does my ideal day look like? I kind of struggle with that because it would kind of morph into different things over time. But what does your ideal day look like, let's say, 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? So that was the part when I was thinking of vision and thinking along the way. What does that look like? Because sometimes it can feel a little bit abstract, but it really, as you start to think about this and get it down, it can bring clarity to that vision of what it is that you're going to achieve. And another great question, I don't know, are you writing these down or just storing them in your head? Maybe write them down. Who do I want to become along the way? Now, I love that question. Not that I'm putting it out in the future. Who do I want to become? Well, who do I want to become is out in the future, but I start looking at those attributes, those characteristics, those mindsets, those habits of that future self. but I don't leave it out into the future. I start going, let's start doing those things right now. Might not have the results of future self yet, but I can certainly start implementing the habits, the thoughts, the mindset, the routines of whatever that ideal vision of that person of who I've become. I can start doing those now. And that brings about things a lot faster, right? So the more specific, and I get it, this is probably more of a writing exercise, but it'll get you to thinking if you aren't close to pen and paper right now, because the more specific you get, the more real it becomes. I know vision can sometimes feel vague, and it makes it hard sometimes to stay committed when that vagueness is out there. I know when I was wanting to get healthy and get fit, I really didn't have I didn't have a vision of what my ideal healthy fit self looked like or felt like, because I drifted so off course for so many years. And I was like, I don't know. And I suppose I wouldn't be rubbing up, my belly wouldn't rub up against the steering wheel. I suppose my clothes would fit a little bit better. But the more clear I got on what it was of who I wanted to become, what was the impact I wanted to start making, and the result of starting to make these shifts of what it is that I truly desire instead of giving in to my external circumstances at the moment, I started to write those down. Even if it felt rough, you can always change these and refine it later. But just that act of writing, it gives you this tangible something to work toward. So as I started getting these things down, and of course they've changed over time, but it gave me a direction. It gave me a feeling. It gave me a vibe. It gave me something to grab onto. And I think this really complements the vision board. I think a lot of times people make vision boards and then they look up at it and compare their current life to the vision board, and they stay locked into that comparison of, I'm not worthy. I can't have that. I'll never get there. That person's fit on the vision board. Look at me. And we get into that comparison mode, and that's the thief of joy, right? But when you can get the things written down, this is your vision, not something that you clipped out of somebody's Photoshop thing in a magazine, but what it is for you, and you get that down and you revisit that. I mean, it's not something that you just create once and leave behind. Sometimes people do that. Life shifts. So should your vision as you go. I looked at the things that I am doing now and able to do in my life. I don't know if that was in my vision way back when, but the feeling and the life, I wanted to feel fulfilled. I wanted to feel happy. I wanted to be happy and fit. I kind of wanted to find love again, although I didn't admit it and verbally say it, but I kind of wrote it down. But I was okay if you may or may not know, I lost my first wife. So I was in one of those situations, but I kept reviewing. And eventually one day I wrote down on a goals list, go on 3 dates. And I'm not going to get into that whole thing of this podcast, but that led to being happily married, So with your vision, whatever that is for you, take time to review it. Review it regularly. It can be part of your morning, just your little 10-minute empowerment ritual in the morning. You could do that. Or you could review it once a month or every quarter. I would review goals that way. I set goals for 30-day goals, and then I review them every 30 days, look at what the adjustment is. But in my goal setting, and I learned this from my dear friend, Leanne Monahan, so shout out to you, Leanne, is what do I want to create in the next 30 days? So this kind of brings back, you've got that long range vision stuff, and you bring it back into now kind of reverse engineering, if you will. So what do I want to create the next 30 days? Who do I need to be over that next 30 days to make that happen? And who do I choose to be? Because you could say, I need to be this, but then you get into resistance and you don't take action and all this stuff. But when you're like, I'm choosing to take action, I'm choosing to show up, I'm choosing to eat healthy, I'm choosing to shop wisely at the grocery store, those sort of things. And when you're revisiting your vision, that can be powerful. And when now that I think about it, when you are revisiting your vision, ask yourself, is this what I still want? Are there any new priorities that I need to add or shift? And that certainly happened to me as my life started to shift. Opportunities that came about and different experiences. Revisiting those, it keeps your focus sharp. It helps you stay on track. Even when life throws you curveballs, those don't ever happen, right? And I think that it's just amazing. You see, vision, it's not just about what you want to achieve. This is just a great component of it. It's about shaping the person that you want to become. Wow. That's pretty cool. A strong vision, it's going to give you direction, and it's going to keep you grounded, and it's going to remind you why you're putting in the effort and the time. A lot of times people grab at motivation and hope, I got to get motivated, I got to do this. If you stay on track with your vision, and it can morph over time, but you've got this vision, you've got this desire, you're willing to do whatever it takes to get there, you're going to find some amazing things. You're going to start showing up no matter what, even when life throws a curveball. So take the time, clarify, revisit, and refine as you grow. And when you align your life to, with this bold vision, you're not just making plans. You are literally setting the stage for your next level self to emerge, because there's always a what's next. There's always a new level. Okay. And so, that's going to lead to impact and to make a big difference in your life and the lives of others around you. So just know you can choose to use your power, take control, or you can let comparison, you can let excuses, limitations, what ifs. You can take the contents of this podcast and just let it swim in your head and then disregard it and never even work on your vision. You can let that control you and drain your power. It really boils down to deciding and committing to yourself and your goals and choosing to figure out new ways, looking at possibilities, learning and growing, and keep moving forward. You've got this, my friend. I'd love to hear your top takeaway from today. You can drop those down in the comments. I appreciate you so much, my friend. And as always, remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week. That's another Power Blast podcast in the books. Thanks so much for tuning in. And remember, when you are ready to recharge your battery, make sure you go to talktoperry.com. That's talktoperry.com. That's Perry. And I want to listen. I want to hear, what's going on. I want to help you in that 15-minute call to recharge your battery and reclaim your power so that you're off and running and creating massive momentum toward your dream. Also, every day, I am delivering more motivation, support, tips, and strategies inside my free community with amazing people like yourself. And we are conquering the mindset and the fitness. I do 52 weeks of free training in there. Plus, I coach and I mentor people, as well as give you access to tons of resources and guides. It's called my Upside Down Fitness Community because we work on a lot of mindset stuff, the inside stuff. And we're a fun group of people striving to make healthier habits in this awesome chapter of life. So make sure you get in there. I promise you'll absolutely love it. Just head over to UpsideDownFit.com and you can get into the group. And hey, you would be an awesome friend if you get over to iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast and leave an honest rating and review for the Power Blast podcast. It helps awesome people like you find this show even faster, and that's who I'm looking for, awesome people like you. That's all I have for this week, my friend, and just to let you know, you absolutely rock. That's all I have for this week. I'll see you on the next Power Blast podcast, and always remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week.